Hello everyone, I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Line CV. Welcome to another 5 talking points video after our 2-1 win over Brighton yesterday. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Ruben, I'm going to be talking about Hazard at false 9, I'm going to be talking about Azpi and the rise in his form recently, I'm going to be talking about Alonslow. Honestly, I don't even mean to say Alonso, it just feels right. And obviously to end the video, I'm going to be talking about referees and why I feel that we need to be careful about them. Anyway, getting straight into things, starting with the first point, and I'm sorry you guys, but for me, Ruben needs to be starting in midfield. He needs to be a first team player. And I think he deserves it because his consistency has been amazing. Now, yes, I know that he's played 2 quite average games so far. I think the last game was against Vidi, but even then, Ruben's probably disappointed with himself after that game. But he really showed us what he's about against Brighton. When he comes on now, he comes on with a purpose. He has that inner confidence in himself that he knows he's a great player, he knows he's very good, and he really noticed that in terms of how he affects the game every single time he plays. Still, there are some positives. I think the fact that Sarri is turning to Ruben straight away to bring him on as his first choice sub says quite a lot, and I have to give credit to Sarri as well. You know, finally a manager's come in that is quite fair. He's challenged Ruben, he's told him, you know what, there's areas in your game which you need to improve on and get better at. He's actually told us, the fans, as well, so we can get some context in regards to what's happening behind the scenes. And I feel like Ruben's really rising to the challenge. He's really showing Sarri why he should be starting. And what I love about Ruben is just how far he's come. Now, one thing to remember is the fact that for his age, he really hasn't played as much professional football as he should have at this point in time. But I really feel that he really benefited from that loan spell before when he used to play. I kind of felt that he played within himself at times. I feel like when he went to Crystal Palace, you know, having Roy behind his back, constantly praising him and speaking of him highly, having Gareth Southgate, you know, the perfect timing for a manager like Gareth Southgate to manage the England national team. He gave out a very clear message telling these great young English talents that, you know what, if you play for your first team, you're gonna be considered for England. And I think that they're the positive challenges that Ruben needed to really overcome them and really show what he's about. Just look at the player he is. He's such a unique player. Look at his height, his strength, but look at his technical abilities. Look how he runs with the ball. For a guy so tall, his sense of balance is amazing. The way he can quickly just shift his body weight to another position and skip past someone. When he runs with the ball, it's constantly glued to his feet. And I love that when he runs with the ball, his head's up. It shows you how comfortable he is with his abilities. But really, my favourite thing about Ruben is just how elegant he is. Now, I'm one of those types of purist football fans. I love seeing technical ability. I really love seeing skill, and I love seeing players, you know, who have those abilities really playing with so much ease. And that's the type of confidence I get from Ruben when he plays. I feel that confidence in his game, and he's just very aesthetically pleasing to watch. Now, yes, to end this point, I do understand that Ruben does need to improve on the tactical side of the game. I really understand that, but we can't forget the context. Remember, for his age, he really hasn't played as much football as he should have, and he's barely ever played in his natural position in midfield. So it's understandable that his tactical development will be a bit slower. But I really think to overcome this, Sarri needs to play him and use him more. I feel like in a season, all he needs is a season to really work in the side of his game, and by next season he'll be a much more complete player, and that's the type of risk I want to see Sarri doing. Of course, he can improve on the defensive side of his game, he can get better at closing down, he can get better at getting tighter with Alonso down the left, and I feel that he can be a bit more forceful with his tackles. But I feel like this can be improved over time, and I feel like this part of his game should be forgiven because what he provides on the ball, what this guy provides from an offensive point of view, far outweighs any negatives to his game. Moving on to the second talking point, that's in regards to Azpi and his recent improvement in form. Now, his past 2 games have been great. I really feel his game against Man City was the best individual performance I've seen from Azpi. It really brought back memories of Ashley Cole up against Cristiano Ronaldo. Azpi was at his finest. You know, he was getting tight to his opponents, winning 50-50s, very good on the ball as well, helped us play out, and he could really rely upon him, and he just felt that he was in Superman mode during that game. He put in another good shift against Brighton, and I was actually talking to my friend Ollie, and we were talking about Azpi and why he's improved in form, and it finally hit me as we were talking, and that's the fact that Azpi is looking much more confident now, because now he has confidence that he is going to be supported down that right hand side. Now let me just explain this point quickly. Now one thing I'm constantly talking about when it comes to Sarri is the team improving from a positional point of view. That means when we're off the ball and on the ball, players need to know what positions to be in to really help support our game. Now, I have been quite critical about our right-hand side. I feel like it hasn't been the most complementary part of the team, but I have seen improvements. And I think with Pedro playing and with Kante really taking on board what Sarri's been saying, it's made a massive difference. And it really brings up that point that, you know, football's a team game. Every player on the pitch has to help complement and support each other's game. The minute one person doesn't do their job properly, that's going to affect what the other player can do. In a way, football's like a massive jigsaw puzzle. If one piece is missing, then you can't complete the puzzle. Now, because Kante positionally is looking better right now, because we have Pedro with his movement, his ability to use his left foot, and his ability to beat a press as well, it's really helped Azpi out a lot. And because now Azpi has that defensive support, it's given him that confidence to do what he does best, and that is get right in the face of his opponents, get extremely tight and win 50-50s, because he is one of the best players in the league at winning his duels. And think about it like this, you know, if Kante isn't in position, you know, if Pedro or Willian aren't close towards him, if Azpi decides to, you know, really push up and press his man, if he doesn't win that tackle, that means that there's tons of space left and behind him. And with all that space left and behind, you're basically telling Ruben to leave his position, to push out wide, but that's the last thing you want to do. When we defend as a team now, we defend from the top right to the bottom. Our defense is our last line of defense. We want these guys to be in the middle, keeping their position. The minute any of these guys get dragged out wide, it means that we are going to be more porous and we are going to get exposed more. But remember the point I said, when it comes to playing football as a team game, it's about complementing each other's strengths and weaknesses. We know that Azpi's weakness is his offensive abilities, but if Kante and Pedro do their role, we don't have to rely on Azpi in the final thirds. And when you think about this in tandem with using a strikerless front three, in a way, Azpi can play his natural game, and we're still balanced in the final thirds. Anyway, moving on to the third talking point, that's in regards to that main man, Eden Hazard, playing in the false nine role. And I'm feeling like this is the positive direction to go down in. Now, I was talking about Hazard playing as a false nine in that 5 talking points video versus Man City. I said that he wasn't used as a false nine in that game, but I feel like he can play up front if he is used as a traditional false nine, because then he can play to his strengths. You know, he can drop deep, he can create space, he can run from deep. He has all that freedom to express himself and do what he wants. And we really saw that against Brighton. As I've been saying so many times this season, everything good that Hazard's done has been in those central areas. I feel like he does become a bit bottlenecked when he is forced out wide, and I think that's because of Alonso isn't great in the final third pushing forward, and that stops Hazard from making infield runs as much as he wants to. But false nine Hazard gets the best out of this guy's game, and what I love too is that it's really given our opposition team something to worry about. Now, cast your minds back to the start of the season, we constantly kept facing teams that just parked the bus. Now, you know, we did struggle a tiny bit at times, but we looked quite comfortable. Then halfway through, teams started to use a mid-block. They started to figure out that we need to stop Chelsea from playing out from the back. We need to force them to pass the ball out wides, and we need to target that space behind their fullbacks. But the beautiful thing of Hazard playing as a false nine is that it stops opposition teams from man-marking him. Because what you're effectively saying is, once Eden drops deep into midfield, no opposition defender is going to follow him back into midfield. If you do that, you're going to ruin your team's shape. And if you ruin that team's shape, you're going to create holes for us to exploit and play through you. And I feel like this is the best way to counter against these mid-block teams, because, you know, with Hazard even dropping deep into midfield, he creates another passing outlet and he forces opposition teams to have to put a man on him. And we know that Hazard's one of the best press-resistant players on this planet. You're taking a massive gamble. He can get past anyone and cause mayhem. Still, Sarri was right when he said that Hazard can improve in making more forward runs. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think with Eden Hazard, the thing with him is he loves touching the ball. And this is why I feel like the false nine role complements his game. But Sarri's right, of course. Hazard can improve even more by really perfecting the runs he makes and getting on the end of attacks. Now, moving on to the final 2 points, I need to talk about Marcus Alonslow. And yeah, it has been really rough for him. Now, his form at the start of the season, I thought was promising. I didn't think that he was 10 out of 10, of course not. But it was promising. I saw signs of a player wanting to prove the manager wrong and wanting to improve his game. But my thing with Alonso was always the fact that I felt like naturally his time would be up because he doesn't necessarily complement the style of football. I don't think he's press resistant. I don't think his build-up play in the final third is very effective. And I don't think that he's great defensively. You know, he's not that type of fullback that is very tenacious in the tackle, that can close down the spaces between his marker very quickly. He can't do that. And Alonso has been probably the main reason as to why we've conceded so many goals this season. And most times it comes down from either him being out of position or not being able to win a tackle, forcing Luis or Jorginho to have to move out wide to the left, creating those holes in the middle, or Alonso is giving away unnecessary corners because he can't dispossess his opponent cleanly or quickly. And I think too, you know, his ability to constantly lose possession every single time, just apply more pressure onto us. I feel like he's been the main culprit as to why we've conceded so many goals this season. Now, I know it sounds quite harsh, but I think that he's that piece of the puzzle that just doesn't fit with the team. I'm sorry, but I think, it's time now to put him on the bench, you know, like what you did to guys like Giroud and Morata. I think Alonso needs that. I don't think that he's going to just find his form all of a sudden. I think Emerson, you need to start showing some faith in Emerson. Give him the opportunity to show what he can do. The guy's shown promise already, I think in the final third, for example. Much better output from his crossing and his build-up play in the final third. His pace, his ability to make those overlapping runs. Yes, defensively, his positioning can be poor. And I understand Sarri making that point that Alonso is beneficial for his height. But consider this too. If Alonso wasn't constantly giving away corners or giving away fouls, then we're not going to be conceding as many set-piece opportunities, meaning that we don't have to worry about his lack of height. Sarri, please, come on. You're making all the right decisions, you know, using Ruben more, playing Hazard up front. I think the final thing Sarri needs to do now is start to introduce Emerson into the first team. But anyway, to end on the final point, and this final point has really annoyed me this week, and that's poor refereeing. Now, it's not the first time I've spoke about refereeing in these 5 talking point videos, but I don't know, I'm getting so frustrated now because Eden Hazard is getting targeted and he's not getting protected whatsoever. Now consider this, during this point of the season, when has Hazard faced so many knocks to his ankles and faced so many injury problems? It's never really happened. What we're seeing now is referees allowing opponents to constantly hack him from behind, targeting his ankles every single time. It's the second time this season that he's had to be subbed off to protect the player because his ankles have been targeted. Remember Ashley Young, obviously Stevens yesterday for Brighton. It can't keep continuing. They're not doing enough to stop these teams. The referees aren't controlling it, and I feel it's like this old school English mentality of underdogs versus the big teams, and if you're an underdog team, referees have to be a bit more lenient with you, but it's not a fair playing field if you do that. How many times are opposition teams allowed to get away with making one yellow card offence without being punished, and the fact they're not punished allows them to make another one later on during the game, and referees aren't controlling the game to stop this from happening. Now, if anything, it's a bit of a side note, but it really makes me appreciate Pep Guardiola, and I think with Pep and what he does with his teams to really counter this rough treatment, it's to go down easily. Now, yes, it can be frustrating. We've seen this Barcelona teams, we saw what it was like, but it works because it forces the referee to have to react, because if a player keeps constantly fouling, you're going to get booked for persistent fouling. Not only that, it allows you to continue controlling the game, it allows you to stay in possession as well, and it allows you to keep the ball in your opponent's half. And the thing is, if referees were fair in the first place, then you wouldn't get guys like Pep telling his team to do things like this. But I don't see anything happening, and this is something I knew was always going to affect us, but I'm not liking that I'm seeing Hazard getting subbed off for getting fouled. I think it's dangerous, and I'm worried that, the guy could really face a serious injury if referees don't do something to stop this. But anyway, you guys, that's going to be the end for today's 5 talking points video. Please like, comment and subscribe. Press the bell notification button as well to stay tuned to all things Blue Lines TV. Expect a transfer video out tomorrow. I got you guys. Thank you for watching. I'm the EFC. This is Blue Lines TV. Signing out.